Wow, wow, wow. Newcastle United have just announced themselves on the football stage. Finally, I think people in the media will be taking them very seriously after today because they were incredible. They smashed, they destroyed, they obliterated PSG. And I think it's about time people put more respect on Eddie Howe's name and took this Newcastle side more seriously. I've been saying this as a Manchester United fan, I've done videos on it. People are sleeping on Newcastle United this season. I said they would get out of the group. I said it was a hard group. I believe they would get out. Just because they lost to City, Liverpool and Brighton 3 difficult games in a row, people slept on Newcastle. They beat Sheffield United 8-0. They beat Burnley. They beat Brentford. They drew 0-0 in Milan. I said Newcastle, they've done some good signings. They've got a good manager. Depending on injuries, I said people are sleeping on Newcastle. The mainstream media is talking about not Poch. Mainstream media is talking about Ange and Spurs, Arsenal, City, Liverpool, but no one has been talking about Newcastle. But today, I think is the day everybody's like, you know what, this Newcastle side is serious. And I've been saying this for a while as a Man United fan. I know a lot of Newcastle fans that have been saying this. People don't realise that they have got so many quality players and that Eddie Howe has done an unbelievable job. Sean Longstaff might be the most underrated player in football right now. And I was someone that laughed a few years ago when Manchester United got linked to Sean Longstaff. And I've got some interesting statistics on Sean Longstaff to show you. But among midfielders in the top 7, he's in like the 95th percentile for key passes and accurate shots. He's been unbelievable. But what I want to talk about is Eddie Howe. 3 of Newcastle's goal scorers today, 3 of them, were playing under Steve Bruce. 3 years ago, this Newcastle side under Steve Bruce were basically getting relegated, were playing awful football, and 3 of these players couldn't even get into the side. Eddie Howe has taken a team with Lascelles in, Schar in, he was phenomenal tonight, Dan Burn, Almiron. You've got to look at all these players. And some of them were here under Eddie Howe, some of them here under Bruce, not all of them. But Eddie Howe has taken a side, where he had a lot of players here under Bruce in their relegation battle. Almiron, Sean Longstaff, Fabian Schär. Bruce didn't play a lot of them. Bruce didn't start a lot of them. What have they done today? They've scored goals against PSG on the biggest stage of world football. If someone does not want to give Eddie Howe a round of applause, if someone does not want to give him credit for what he's done at Newcastle, they are delusional. He took over Newcastle when they were getting relegated. He took them to 12. He took them to then top 4. He got them in the Champions League, and he's just battered PSG 4-1. And do you know what the difference between this Newcastle side and the PSG side were? Because PSG have spent all this money. They spent more money than Newcastle. They have all these individual players. They've got Mbappe. But Newcastle play as a team. Newcastle have built a team. And put your hats off to Eddie Howe there. Because Newcastle don't have this team of individual £100 million players like Mbappe. Newcastle had Lascelles playing, who was phenomenal. Their captain, because Botman is injured. Almiron, Fabian Schär, Sean Longstaff, they were playing under Bruce. And when Newcastle were looking like they were going to get relegated, these players weren't even starting under Bruce. Eddie Howe's brought in this team, made them and developed them into these brilliant players. And Newcastle are beating PSG 4-1. People need to put some more respect on Eddie Howe's name. I said he should have won Manager of the Season last year. I said that as a Man United fan. I said Eddie Howe should have won Manager of the Season last year. He didn't. I think he's absolutely underrated. I think Sean Longstaff is absolutely underrated. I tell you that now. And I laughed at Sean Longstaff a few years ago. I thought that Newcastle midfield was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I thought Dan Burn was brilliant today. I thought Schär was brilliant. And you know what? The Newcastle fans were amazing. I was jealous. I was jealous completely looking at that environment of Newcastle, looking at how happy the fans were. The stadium, the atmosphere, I think was the 12th man. It was like Newcastle had 12 men tonight. And that was because of the stadium. That was because of the atmosphere. I've not seen a footballing atmosphere that good in a while. That was phenomenal from the Newcastle fans, and that was like their 12th player today. So the Newcastle fans who went to the game should be proud of them because they were unreal. They were phenomenal, and I am very jealous as a United fan. 3 years ago, this Newcastle side, it could have been relegated. Like, it was bad. It was under Bruce. It was awful. Mike Ashley was an awful owner, and they get real owners in. Controversial, I know, but they're real owners that care about football. And they've built a team. They've not spent hundreds of millions like PSG. They've spent money, but they've brought good young players. They brought in a young British manager. They've not gone and brought stars. They've built a team. And Eddie Howe has built a team. And, everyone at Newcastle has done a fantastic job. And that is what proper owners do. And as a Manchester United fan, we have owners that spend money. but they don't spend money on the players that the manager wants. They spend money when they want and who they want. And owners that don't watch football spend money, and you just see Man United waste this and that and can't build a team. And then you look at Newcastle within 3 years beating PSG 4-1, Champions League record. But as I said, the difference between them and PSG was they were a team. PSG was 11 individuals that could not play together. There was no balance to that PSG side. Absolutely no balance. And I'm glad Newcastle won, because if you don't watch my channel, I have a Man United channel, and I've always said I cannot stand PSG. So I was so happy when Newcastle won. And I think Newcastle fans deserve it after what they had under Eddie Howe. But this was a team. This was a team from Newcastle. This was a team performance. The togetherness, the work rate, the attitude from that team. I am so jealous. I watched Manchester United players walk, can't even pass, not even working together. I saw this Newcastle side, even when they were 3-up, 1-up, and they could have been comfortable to win, fighting for each other, working hard off the ball, giving 100%. I saw a team that works hard, that will give everything for their manager, that will work hard together. That is what they delivered. And you know what? Lascelles, brilliant. Dan Burn, no one deserved today more than Dan Burn. 12 years ago, he was playing non-league. He's a Newcastle fan. He was playing non-league. He's the 6'7" fullback coming up against Mbappe. Dan Burn was like, I've got this, scores a goal. And Dan Burn, Schar Longstaff, 2 Newcastle fans, scoring goals in their first home game back in the Champions League for their biggest Champions League win. You have to say, you know what? This is beautiful. This Newcastle story isn't PSG and Manchester City spending hundreds of millions on the most expensive and best players in football. What I like about Newcastle is they've still got their Schar Longstaffs playing. They've got people like Almiron, who were known as failures under Bruce. Schar, players that weren't even considered good, I guess, under Steve Bruce when they were 20th. They've got these players, and then they've gone and coached them properly, and they've built a team around these players who have been absolutely phenomenal this season. They've then got a few stars like Guimaraes coming in, Tonali coming in, Isaac coming in. They've brought great young players like Livramento. They've got obviously Lewis Hall. They've got Sven Botman. What Newcastle have done is they haven't brought these big name £100 million players. They brought in a coach in Eddie Howe that has respect of the players, that's got them playing like a team, but they've brought in players who are young, ambitious, have the right mindset, have the right attitude, and as a team, they're an absolute unit. Kieran Trippier is probably the best right back in the world right now in terms of what he's offered to Newcastle's experience. Fabian Schar has been absolutely unbelievable. Lascelles has really surprised me when he stepped in. Dan Burn playing left back, he's been unbelievable. Schar Longstaff's been unbelievable. Tonali, a little bit disappointed, but he's been good. He was good today. Bruno Guimaraes is absolutely unbelievable player. Isaac's fantastic. Almiron was really good today. Gordon's just a different player this season. Gordon better be called up by Gareth Southgate, or that's an absolute joke. But this Newcastle team, they just play together. They just get it. I don't know what it is, but it's young, special talents, not big egos, not silly £100 million players. It is a team that were considered the underdogs, that have worked, play well together, given everything together, given 100%. And it's a likable team. That's what I mean. Maybe I'm waffling, but it is a team that you look at and you applaud. You don't go, they brought in Neymar and Mbappe and all of the, I don't like PSG. Neymar and Mbappe, all these big egos, all these big players, spend money here and there. There's no structure. Newcastle, they built a team, and their owners deserve credit for that. And I'm incredibly jealous as a United fan, but Eddie Howe deserves a lot of credit, because a lot of those players were here under Bruce that I think a lot of Newcastle fans might want to sold a few years ago, and he's turned them into smashing PSG 4-1. They were phenomenal. They deserved to win. I thought Schar Longstaff really surprised me this season. 86% pass accuracy, 40 touches. He was unbelievable today. Won his tackles, won his ground duels, made a key pass, got a goal. And this was meant to be the group of death, and Newcastle, wow. And I have to say, they blew me away today. I really did. I had a feeling Newcastle could win, because I thought this is their first home game in the Champions League. The fans are going to get behind them, but I thought it would be a win, like a 2-1. I didn't, and I'm someone that's been saying we need to take Newcastle seriously. I've been someone that's saying like Newcastle good, but to win 4-1, I mean, look, that PSG side's nowhere near the quality it used to be, but you've got to give it to Newcastle. They were unbelievable. Every single one of those players should be proud of themselves. Eddie Howe deserves a lot of credit, and yeah, I'm jealous. Smash a like, smash a subscribe. See you next time.